Good Monday morning, everyone. And for our friends in Southern California, I hope you're weathering the storm okay. What's going on with my screen here? There we go. Up here in Sacramento, the hurricane has only so far manifested. It's missing us, actually. It only manifested in little sprinkles and a little cooling down and an overcast. So our best wishes and our energy and magic juju for strength and safety go to our friends who are undergoing a great deal of rain and flooding and things like that. So this morning I'm going to do something esoteric, okay? As if every day I don't do something esoteric. This is particularly esoteric. And for many of you, it will seem a bit obscure and enigmatic. But I'm going to share with you something that not everybody gets a chance to to hear and think about. And it's Crowley's own words, Aleister Crowley's own words on a very wonderful, awesome ritual of self-initiation. And what I'm going to read to you today is found in his essay or his work John St. John, which is found in the Equinox series. So it's published and out there. But the reason that there's so much mystery surrounding this particular ritual or series of rituals, actually, different evolutions of this ritual, is that it's a ritual of self-initiation that Crowley and members of his AA organization, chain of initiates and students, were encouraged to practice and perform on themselves. Personally, I was given just a typewritten version of Liber 671 or Vel Pyramidos or Pyramidos or however you want to pronounce it, at a particular stage of my studies with Phyllis Seckler. She said, "Here, you need to do this." And so I read through it, and I just scratched my head and said, "What the heck is?" But Crowley actually talks about it in other terms, less technical terms, in spiritual terms, in John St. John. And it's that little essay that I'm going to read to you today. It's published. He describes this ritual in John St. John. And here it is. I shall try and describe Ritual 671. Now, 670, I'll digress here for a second. 671 is the numeration for the word Torah, the Hebrew word Torah, which means the law. The Hebrew scriptures is called the Torah, the law. But just reversing a couple letters in Torah and spell it Troa means a gate. So the idea that this is an initiatory ceremony, a self-initiatory ceremony whereby you enter a gate, the gate of initiation. I shall try and describe Ritual 671, since its nature is important to this great ceremony of initiation. Those who understand a little about the path of the wise may receive some hint of the method of operation of the LVX. And I think that a description will help me to collect myself for the proper adaptation of this ritual to the purpose of self-initiation. Oh, how soft is the air, and how serene the sky to one who has passed through the black rule of Apophis. How infinitely musical are the voices of nature, those that are heard and those that are not heard. What understanding of the universe! What love is the prize of him that hath performed all things and endured all things. The first operation of Ritual 671 is the preparation of the place. There are two forces, that of death and that of natural life. Death begins the operation by a knock, to which life answers. Then death, banishing all forces external to the operation, declares the speech in the silence. Both officers go from their thrones and form a base of a triangle, whose apex is in the east. They invoke the divine word, and then death slays with the knife and embalms with the oil his sister life. Quote, life thus prepared invokes and at the summons of death the forces necessary to the operation. The word takes its station in the east. Now remember, this is the floor plan. It's called Liber Pyramidos, but it's actually a tetragrammaton, okay? It's a triangular floor. And the east is the apex up there. The word takes its station in the east, and the officers salute it, both by speech and by silence in their signs. And they pronounce the secret word of power that riseth from the silence and returneth thereunto. All this they affirm, and in affirming the triangular base of the pyramid, find that they have mysteriously formed the apex thereof, whose name is ecstasy. This also is sealed by that secret word, for that word containeth all. Into this prepared pyramid of divine light there cometh a certain darkling white. That's not white, W-I-G-H-T. Sort of a Parsifal. Who knoweth not either his own nature, or his origin, or destiny, or even the name of that which he desireth. Before he can enter the pyramid, therefore, 4 ordeals are required of him. So, bound and blinded, he stumbles forward and passes through the wrath of the 4 great princes of evil of the world, whose terror is about him on every side. Yet since he has followed the voice of the officer who has prepared him in this part of the ritual, is no longer merely nature, but the Great Mother, but also Neshama, his aspiration, and representative of Adonai. He may pass through all. Yet in spite of the menace of the Hyrus, that's the officer, that's sort of the bad cop officer in a neophyte ritual, the one that plays Horus. He's the one that opposes you and is overcome by the Hyrus, which is like the Great Mother, okay, if you will, of the Neshama. But I digress, sorry. Yet he's followed the voice of the officer who's prepared him. In this part of the ritual, no longer nature, but the Great Mother, but Neshama, his aspiration and the representative of Adonai. He may pass through all. Yet in spite of the menace of the Hyrus, whose function is now that of his fear and his courage, he goeth on and enters the pyramid. But there he is seized and thrown down by both officers as one unworthy to enter. His aspiration purifies him with steel and fire, and there as he lieth, shattered by the force of the ritual, he hears, even as a corpse that hears the voice of Israfel, the hegemon that chants a solemn hymn of praise to the glory which is at the apex, and who invisibly rules and governs the whole pyramid. Now then, that darkling white is lifted by the officers and brought to the altar in the center, and there the Hyrus accuses him of 22 basenesses, while the hegemon, lifting up his arms, his chained arms, cries again and again against his enemy that he is under the shadow of the wings of the Holy One. Yet at the end, at the supreme accusation, the Hyrus smites him unto death. The answer avails him, and in its strength he is uplifted by his aspirations. Now he stands upright. Now then he makes a journey in his new house and perceives at stated times, each time preceded by a new ordeal and equilibrium of the forces that surround him. Death he sees, and the life of nature, whose name is sorrow, and the word that quickeneth these, and his own self. And when he hath recognized these four in their true nature, he passes to the altar once more, and, as the apex of the descending triangle, is admitted to the lordship of the double kingdom. Thus, he is a member of the visible triad that is crossed with the invisible. Behold the hexagram of Solomon the king. All this the Hyrus seals with a knock, and at the hegemon's new summons he, to his surprise, finds himself as the hanged man of the tarot. Each point of the figure is formed. They crowned him with light until he glitters with the flame of the Spirit. Thus, and not otherwise, is he made partaker of the mysteries, and the lightning flash strikes him. The Lord hath descended from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. He is installed in the throne of the double kingdom, and he wields the wand of double power, by the signs of the grade. He is recognized as an initiate, and the word of secret power and the silent administration of the sacred sacrament of the sword and flame acknowledge him. Then the words being duly spoken and the deeds duly done, all is symbolically sealed by the 30 voices and the word that vibrateth from the silence of the speech, and from the speech again unto the silence. Then the pyramid is sealed up, even as it was opened. Yet in the sealing thereof, the 3 men partake in a certain mystical manner of the Eucharist of the 4 elements that are consumed for the perfection of the oil. Conx, Pax. Now that visualization or that comment is, I guess, to be chewed upon and gone back to and reviewed as one attempts to understand the ceremony itself. And there are several versions available. Some you get in a formal manner, and some you just have to fish around on the internet to find. There's several versions of 671, and there's earlier versions that actually use three physical officers and the candidate, and those that use the candidates of the imagination of the officers that serve in the imagination of the candidate during self-initiation. Have I confused you enough this morning? Well, I'm going to have to leave it. I'm going to have to leave it there. If you're truly interested in this, reviewing this little talk may be of some help to you. But if not, probably tomorrow we'll do something a little more immediately understandable. Until then, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law, love under will.